know the turn-based battle system. Input command, wait for time gauge to fill, input command, wait for time gauge to fill. It's pretty boring if there's nothing else to do, and can make battles seem like a slog. Fortunately, many other game developers had the same thoughts and wanted to spice things up a bit with new and exciting elements to keep the battle interesting. Now, there are a few spoilers in the form of boss fights and revealing move lists, with the number 1 spot showing off the final boss, but you'll have some time to nope out before it gets to that. Cool, let's start this list. Number 10, Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. At first glance, the battle system for Super Mario RPG seems fairly basic. You got your attacks, specials, items, and defense or run away. The typical options for an RPG battle. But it has a twist that later games would adopt. The conditional turn-based battle system used in Mario RPG emphasizes the use of timed attacks. With normal attacks, if you press the button at a right time, you will score a critical hit. Sound familiar? There were also the special attacks that had various timed hits, such as Mario's Super Jump, holding Y for Geno's Beam, or doing circles with the D-pad for Malo's Snowy Attack. Something that's an absolute nightmare on a keyboard. Certain special moves ask for certain timings, spicing up the otherwise standard-looking battle. Number 9, Chrono Trigger. Magic and special moves are cool and all, but what if you combined them with the characters in your party? That was the major thing that Chrono Trigger did for players, and it was genius. Not many games have been able to pull off Trigger's simple yet satisfying battle system. They've tried, but in my mind, none have displayed it better than this game. Once you learn new moves and are paired with the right people, at the end of the battle you'll receive a notification of dual text or even triple text that you can time and dole out on your enemy of choice. Another neat aspect of Chrono Trigger's battle system is the active mode, where time still continues even though you're in the menu trying to decide on a move. It adds a bit more intensity to it. Number 8, Parasite Eve. When I had first played Parasite Eve, I was wowed by the battle system. It was technically turn-based, as it had a charging meter before you could make your next attack. As you waited for your turn, you had the freedom to move about, dodging attacks from enemies and positioning yourself up close for a powerful shot. You still had special moves you could perform, healing spells and so forth, which made for a very strange but rewarding battle with each encounter. Of course, Aya's slow run could frustrate most gamers, as the attacks are often much quicker than her, so you'd have to study enemy patterns to get the best chance at defeating tough enemies. Number 7, Valkyria Chronicles.
Eat this! Well done!
Leveling up from Parasite Eve's battle system methods, the Valkyria Chronicles series went a step further and had you running into position, lobbing grenades at enemies, disabling tanks, all with a number of characters selected for your special mission. On the strategic map, you may use a number of medals to control a specific character or tank on the battlefield, using them multiple times if you would like, but repeat use incurred less movement per turn. Each character, depending on usually their class, had a set amount of movement and choice of weapon, making a kind of balancing act depending on the objective of the mission. Sometimes it's get from point A to B, and man, snipers are horrible at moving fast, unlike scout characters who can rocket up the map with ease. Once you expend all your medals, it's the enemy's turn who does the same as you, selecting specific units to run here and there, shoot certain characters, or ram a tank through a wall. The system is fun, it's heavily strategic, and can be enjoyable or painstakingly punishing. Number 6, Wild Arms 4.
That thing's like solid metal!
The Wild Arms games before 4 had stuck to the traditional turn-based battle systems, but then this game decided to shake some things up, introducing the Hex system, or the Hyper-Evolve Crossfire Sequence. A battlefield where 7 hexagons appear holding one or multiple characters or enemies in each hex. Characters can freely move between hexes, joining allies if they so choose. They can't, however, enter a hex with an enemy in it. There are both benefits and drawbacks in having allies in the same hex. If you use a healing item on the hex, everyone in it gets healed. But if an enemy attacks a hex, everyone in it gets attacked at once. There are also status ailments that can infect the hex, such as poison, where everyone in the hex will suffer from it unless they move out of it. Also, during certain battles, certain hexes will have a color highlighting it. This affects the type of magic used in the hex, or might coat your attack with a certain element. An example is one highlighted in blue will enhance all water magic, and so on and so forth. The hex system was a hit and miss for most fans, but you have to admit, it did shake up the usual turn-based system with another layer of planning, which I always enjoy having.
Feel the blaze of wind!
Number 5, Grandia. I fell in love with this battle system the moment I understood everything that was going on that tiny little bar. In Grandia, you can see how the battle will unfold by the time bar at the bottom right corner, which shows your characters and the enemy's charge time that determines turn order. The more speed you have, the faster the picture will hit the little mark where you need to enter your course of action, shown as the comm or command point. Once you've determined what you want to do, the picture will move across and hit the act or action part of the bar, and you'll perform whatever command you entered. If you're charging up a powerful spell, your picture will move slower than, say, someone who's doing a simple melee attack. In this time, enemies and characters can cancel a command with certain moves, nulling whatever the enemy was going to cast and sending them far back on the time gauge. This simple technique can save your party from certain doom and give you enough time to recover if you were badly hurt. The tide of battle can be completely changed if you plan and time your commands and actions perfectly, preventing the enemy from ever touching you at times. Of course, it can be frustrating as hell when it's performed against you, canceling your super powerful move and making you wait again to hopefully pull it off.
Spicy in 2! Alright! Big win for us!
Number 4, Valkyrie Profile.
To my side, my noble Einherjar. Uh-oh, we may be in trouble.
Most turn-based RPGs don't utilize all of the buttons on the face of the controller, except Valkyrie Profile. In battle, you have 4 characters, each assigned to a corresponding button on the PlayStation controller. So, X or cross, circle, triangle, and square. During battle, when you press one of the buttons, the character assigned to it will go out and attack, using a certain set of moves or spell-type attacks. You can go crazy and mash the buttons and have your party rush at the enemy, but you have a limited amount of action time. To gain the most out of your attacks, you must coordinate your moves, juggling enemies in the air and landing all of your hits to unlock your special moves. You can then use multiple special moves, if enough hits were accumulated, and end your turn with a devastatingly high number that will wipe out most bosses. You have to know your character's attack patterns and experiment to determine the best combo to achieve. A newer game, Indivisible, takes on this battle system, which makes me smile a little inside, as there aren't many, if any, that have replicated this complex battle system.
Is it over?
Number 3, Legend of Legaia. Wondered what a fighting game and an RPG battle system would look like? Well, have a look at Legend of Legaia, the turn-based battle system where you input directions and create combos with certain combinations. With this, you can perform multiple moves at once, often linking them together to form a long chain of pain. Say one move was up, down, left. If your next move started with left, that's linking, my friend, which freed up more space to input more fighting commands. Each move would be unlocked by experimenting with different directions or finding hints throughout the world, but that's not as fun. There are different levels of moves as well, ranging from ones that require high action points to simpler ones that need less. You can also charge each round, expanding your input meter and allowing for a long-winded beatdown on your enemy. But that's if you sacrifice 2 full rounds of charging, and I will say, this game is insanely punishing if you're not careful. Number 2, Undertale. Even when you get used to Undertale's battle system, each new boss throws a wrench in the gears and makes you rethink how you play. You take the form of a small red heart as you fight or pacify enemies along the way. You're contained in a small box where you must dodge oncoming objects thrown at you, stop in place for certain attacks to avoid, or take on a new form, and endure a whole new slew of attacks. These are often the bosses. One has you tethered to 3 spider threads where you must dodge by going up or down, while another gives you a tiny shield in which to block oncoming projectiles. It's not just that the battle system is new and interesting, it's the fact that it changes throughout the game and makes you adapt in order to progress. While it can be difficult at times, especially if you choose to physically fight enemies, the bragging rights are well earned if you do manage to complete it. Here are a few games that are worth mentioning that didn't quite make the list.
Yes! Double flash!
That's affirmative. That's what we're looking for. X-ray neutralized.
Number 1, Artificialraven 2, Melody of Metaphalica.
出てなくなれ補足した
Holy mother of yes, this turn-based system is the mother of all interesting battle systems, and with nothing else resembling it, which is understandable seeing as the battle system is heavily tied in with the world the game is based in. The battle formation comprises of 2 vanguards, the fighters, and supporters, the Raventails, who can release an insane amount of hurt with their song magic. In battle, you have a number of different options regarding your vanguard, all of which are assigned to the directional pad. Up increases harmonics, which brings your vanguard and Raventail more in sync and unlocks higher tiers of magic. Left triggers the burst percentage to increase for spells. Down helps with sync with the 2 Raventails in order to trigger dual songs, insanely powerful spells that wipe most boss fights. Right recovers any HP lost by the Raventails, who can be hit if the vanguard failed to protect them. When an enemy attacks, you have to time the hits with the square button to avoid damage to the Raventails. Fail it too often and they'll fall and you're stuck without any spells to unleash upon the enemies, making the battle extremely difficult to finish. While many see it as a complicated mash of stats and gauges, once you get through just a few fights, it becomes much easier to understand and manipulate it to your whims. There is nothing more satisfying than unleashing a nuclear beam on your enemy and watching those numbers rack up.
Synchronicity chain!